What is happening, gangsters? If you're watching this channel, chances are you're into color grading as much as I am. And honestly, it's an awesome job. You tend to work with cool DPs and directors, you get to build out your room however you like, and generally you get to work on your own schedule. But a big part of this job is communication. And while hopefully most of your clients are cool, you're going to run into your fair share of difficult people. And they can pop up seemingly out of nowhere. They can be extremely particular, or demanding, or downright rude. So how can you effectively work with difficult clients while maintaining your professional integrity? Well, today I'm going to give you some insight on how to do just that. Let's say we've got a new client who's reached out to us about a commercial, and now we're on that first phone call. My mindset going into that call is this: I want this to be the best call that they've had all day, potentially all week. Starting there primes the positive working relationship. And when they're talking to you about the commercial, give them some positive feedback like, dope, that sounds like a fun production. Or, those lenses are awesome. I'm sure it looks great. Give them little compliments early on to gas them up a bit. You can also ask them if there were any challenges on set, and honestly, usually there are. And if they offer a war story, sympathize with a little bit of humor, and if the conversation allows, offer a very brief story of your own. Saying something like, oh, yes, the old insert whatever challenge they experienced. I've had a few of those myself. But remember, this is not about you. They don't care about you. This is about them. Positioning yourself as someone who is relatable makes you likable. And guess what? Being likable gets you jobs. So we're finally color grading, and the client has insisted on having a live session. And unfortunately for you, there are now 6 other people who are also attending the live session. And you might be thinking, wow, I'm f***ed. And honestly, you might be right. But here's where you have to be smart. You have to know your audience. Remember what I said about being the best call they've ever had? Well, now you have to be the best live session they've ever had. Clients attending the live session might be on the brand side, the agency side, or both if the universe has decided that you're up for some well overdue penance. 9 times out of 10, these people are very unfamiliar with the grading process, and therefore, their requests might sound completely unhinged. They just don't know what they don't know. But you are a smart colorist, and you're not going to react to the absurdity. So remember, you're one of the last artists to touch this commercial. You have no idea how many conversations or even arguments about specifics have happened before they brought you in. You're like a relief pitcher in baseball. It's late in the game, and you've got a very small window from which to pull out a win. Let's say they ask you to change the color of a wall. You might say something like, we might be able to do that convincingly, but I think we should focus on the broad corrections first, and then we can narrow down our focus to the details. What this does is let them know that they've been heard. That's the most important thing. Clients just want to be heard. It also lets you put that request on the back burner. And now what you want to do is start talking through the color correction and grading that you're doing, because it gives them something else to focus on. Don't bring up that wall request again unless you're absolutely certain you can achieve what they are asking you to do without making it look like complete shit. Keep in mind that most, if not all, attendees are going to have a suggestion for corrections. Most of the time, it's usually something that's easily done and you can just check that box. Other times, it's an absolutely terrible suggestion. Let's just say that someone on the brand side says something like, the color of this sunset isn't aligned with our brand's color red. Upon hearing this, you may feel the intense desire to jump headfirst out of a 23-story window. But don't do this. Here's what to do instead. Ask them nicely to repeat themselves by saying, I'm really sorry, I think you cut out for a second. Would you mind repeating that? Now, all of the focus is on them, and sometimes this gives them the extra moment they need to reconsider that request. But other times, you're not so lucky. So, if they double down, you can ask the entire group, oh, all right, cool. Is anyone else feeling this way about the sunset color? What you're trying to do is get a consensus here, because you know that Mother Nature doesn't give a shit about brand colors, and it's only by sheer coincidence that a sunset has ever adhered to a brand guideline of any company. If the consensus is that it should match, for whatever reason, just politely ask for the hex code of the colors that they want to see and tell them, once I get those hex codes, I can bring this closer to your brand guidelines. But just so you know, this is a naturally occurring event with a lot of beautiful colors blending in with one another, so I'm going to be a little bit limited to how close I can get it before it starts looking very weird. Hopefully, they never send the hex codes and forget all about the request. But, again, what you've done here is give professional advice that was intended to help a client get out of their own way for the greater benefit of making their commercial better. Never make anyone feel stupid. Use your professionalism to let them know that they've been heard and course correct those requests when you can. Now, you course correct by taking what they say and steering it into what you know to be the right move. Then offer a quick compliment by saying something like, "Good feedback. I think we made a good correction there." It will make them feel good and that what you did was their idea. This is essential to good collaboration, but sometimes they're willing to die on a hill. And when that's the case, just do what they ask. You can always do a version of this for yourself. They won't remember this commercial 4 minutes after it goes to broadcast, but they will definitely remember how you made them feel during the live session. Now, firing clients is never a fun conversation, and it should only be done under circumstances where it's absolutely warranted. Here is a real example. I was in a live session with 5 attendees, maybe more, and one person was being legitimately rude. You could just feel the tension in the whole session, and honestly, I put up with it for quite a while until this person told me, "You need to get your eyes checked because this is too warm. Like I've said to you 5 times now. I guess you need your ears checked too." So I paused and I let that comment hang for a moment, and then I asked them to repeat themselves. Now all the attention was on them. I think you're starting to see the pattern here. And unfortunately, this person repeated themselves almost verbatim. So I calmly said, "Okay, look, it sounds like you're the only one that's seeing an image that's too warm. So let's make sure you've got your true tone and your night shift turned off as I mentioned at the top of the session. Can you verify that those settings are off for me?" Well, you can probably guess what happened after that. A long pause, and then they said, "Okay, let's continue." No apology offered whatsoever. So now I had a professional obligation to address the situation, and I said something like, "Okay, now that we've got that sorted, how you've been speaking to me during this entire session has been below my acceptable level of respect. And if you're able to bring that level of respect up to where it needs to be, then I am certainly happy to continue with this session. However, if you don't feel like you're able to do that, then I must politely ask you to excuse yourself, and I will continue with the rest of your colleagues. How would you like to proceed?" All this person said was, "Okay," and then dropped from the call. And we continued without them, and I believe we delivered a really great looking commercial. In summary, here's 7 things you can do to work better with clients. 1, treat every client interaction like you want it to be the best one that they've ever had. 2, offer compliments and war stories when appropriate to build rapport and likability. 3, get the broad strokes of a project done first, and then focus on the small details. 4, and most importantly, never, ever, ever make a client feel stupid. Number 5, course correct client notes to yield a better result when you can. 6, always counter disrespect with mirroring. Put the focus on the person being rude. This isn't about you. Remember, it's about them and their own insecurities. And 7, fire a client only after you've exhausted every single option of kindness. This industry is very small and your reputation matters. Give some of these tips and techniques a try during your next client conversation or live session, and let me know how it goes in the comments. And if you've had a difficult situation or client that you were able to overcome, tell that story in the comments as well. I'd love to read it, but please be respectful and redact any and all identifying information from your story. This part of color correction and grading is seldom, if ever, discussed on the internet, so I really hope you got some value out of this one, and I'll see you in the next one.